This is a 1938 version of the Vieux Carre. Here's the recipe. In today's episode, I'll show you a modern version of this, one of my favorite cocktails by the way, together with two similar cocktails from New Orleans, one with rum, the other with absinthe. If you like to learn about classic cocktails, as well as how to come up with new ones, or make DIY ingredients, subscribe below and hit the bell icon to be notified when a new episode drops. Now let's learn about some New Orleans classics. It's cocktail time. The Vieux Carre, French for Old Square, is a cocktail named after the famous French Quarter in New Orleans, one of America's most visited neighborhoods. It was created in 1938 by Walter Bergeron, the head bartender at what is now the Carousel Bar, a slowly rotating bar at the Monteleone Hotel in New Orleans. He created an elevated version of a Manhattan, in his words, to honor the part of New Orleans where the antique shops and the iron-laced balconies give sightseers a glimpse into the romance of another day. He used a split base of rye whiskey and cognac, sweet vermouth, Benedictine herbal liqueur, and bitters, Angostura, and of course pêchouts, another New Orleans staple. The recipe first appeared in print in the 1938 Famous New Orleans Drinks and How to Mix Them by Stanley Clinsby Arthur. On page 53, the original recipe calls for the drink to be made and served in a small mixing glass, so I'll make this straight in the glass as well. It's a version based on Gary Regan's recipe, from his The Joy of Mixology, the consummate guide to the bartender's craft. But of course, I'll add saline solution, because it makes cocktails taste better. Start with a tempered ice cube before we add the ingredients. Same as with the original recipe, Gary used equal parts of whiskey, brandy and vermouth. I'm starting with 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml of rye whiskey. Next, 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml of cognac, and same amount, 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml of sweet vermouth. This recipe ups the amount of liqueur and the bitters, which I think works better. So next up, 1/4 of an ounce, or 7.5 ml of Benedictine herbal liqueur. For bitters, add 2 dashes of each, pêchouts and Angostura aromatic bitters. And lastly, to boost all the flavors, 2 drops of 20% saline solution. Now give it a good stir to chill and properly dilute the cocktail. The original recipe calls for a twist of a lemon peel and an optional slice of pineapple and a cherry, but I think a simple candied cherry will tie it nicely to its Manhattan origins. I'll give this a try before I try a version with rum next. Cheers! The Vieux Carre has a herbal and strong aroma, similar to the Manhattan, but you quickly notice herbal flavors and a subtle honey note. It's a balanced and easy to drink spirit forward, as mentioned, one of my favorites in this category. One thing I love about being an online creator is the huge community that forms around a shared passion. Friends of cocktails, if you will. Difford's Guide, rightfully named the home of discerning drinkers, is a great example of how a community can help each other grow. That's how this next cocktail came to be. 2 discerning drinkers commented on the Vieux Carre recipe, saying that it gets even better with aged rum. One of them named it Près du Quai, because to get the rum, you have to move from the Old Square to the docks. So aged rum replaced cognac, and instead of rye, we're using bourbon to pair it better with rum, this time using a chilled mixing glass. But again, starting with 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml of whiskey. Four Roses Single Barrel also has subtle spicy notes, so we're not making a huge change from rye. And for rum, I'm going with a 12-year-old Appleton Estate. Again, 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml. Sweet vermouth stays the same as before, 3/4 of an ounce, or 22.5 ml as well. Next, Benedictine, a French liqueur created by a wine merchant and industrialist, 1/4 of an ounce, or 7.5 ml. And again, a mixture of Angostura and pêchouts aromatic bitters, 2 dashes of each. Not sure if the creator of this drink used saline solution, but I'm adding 2 drops anyway. Add plenty of ice and stir to chill and dilute. I'll serve this one in a small, chilled martini glass. For garnish, I'm adding a lemon peel after expressing the essential oils over the cocktail. Before we make the last cocktail of the day, let's try the Près du Quai. Scent. Aroma is a bit more citrusy than herbal with this one. Then we get a slightly funky twist, with the sweet molasses notes being the main supporting player to the whiskey. A fun play on the original, but I'd say cognac and rye is still the winning combo. And lastly, a cocktail that leaves out cognac and brings in a familiar ingredient from the Sazerac, absinthe. A La Louisiane, or sometimes De La Louisiane, is a former house drink of historic New Orleans restaurant, La Louisiane. Built in 1881, the recipe was printed alongside Sazerac and Vieux Carre in the famous New Orleans drinks, but mainly disappeared through the decades. Jim Meehan brought it back in the PDT cocktail book printed in 2011, but also made it more balanced. Originally it had equal parts of rye, sweet vermouth and Benedictine, but will make it a modern A La Louisiane. So into a chilled mixing glass, first add the base, 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of rye whiskey. Next, just half of that, 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml of sweet vermouth. And the same amount, 3/4 of an ounce or 22.5 ml of Benedictine. This will still be sweet, but not overly so. To balance it, let's add 3 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. And the same amount, 3 dashes of the key ingredient, absinthe. Finish it off with 2 drops of saline solution to really boost all the flavors, like salt does with cooking as well. You know the drill: ice, stir, chill, dilute. I'm serving this in a tumbler glass over a clear ice sphere. Garnish with a maraschino cherry, and that's A La Louisiane. It has hints of herbs and sweetness on the aroma, with a blend of whiskey's warmth, the sweet vermouth's richness, and the herbal notes from the Benedictine, with plenty of absinthe. I'd say this is closer to a sweeter Sazerac than it is to the Vieux Carre. With that, we've made it to the bottom of the glass of this New Orleans themed episode. Not literally, of course. These are 3 strong cocktails. So which one is my favorite New Orleans cocktail? Sazerac and the Ramos Gin Fizz are probably better known, but I think Vieux Carre might just take the crown as the best cocktail from New Orleans. Let me know in the comments if you agree, and drop a tumbler emoji to let me know you made it till the end. And for more classic cocktails, check out these playlists. Cheers, friends of cocktails.